Hi there guys and welcome. These are your handover videos for your Swift Challenger / Celebration 640. These are essentially some basic walkthrough videos on how to set up and operate the caravan as if you were getting to site. So starting off at the front, have your black hitch head here with black lever. Both of these have to be pulled up. You can then wind the jockey wheel down onto the tow ball. Once it's on the tow ball, it will snap down this black handle and also push up this red button to expose a green ring. Then you know it's on. You have your handbrake just here, which you just push up and down. Jockey wheel here, which you use to level the caravan. You can spin it either way. Now the caravan is with 13-pin electric, so if you do have 7-pin adaptation on your car, make sure to bring yourself an adapter. And to pull the jockey wheel up, you twist that handle away from you, pull up the handle. 2 points either side and 2 points at the back, you have inserts for your legs. The caravan itself comes with a leg winder, or if you want to do it a little bit quicker, you can grab yourself a 19mm drill bit and a power drill to put them down. Now don't attempt to jack up or level the caravan using your legs, they are simply used for stabilisation. First level using your jockey wheel, then put down all 4 corner steadies. We're using our test equipment today, so I have a red propane gas bottle. I'd always recommend propane over butane just because it won't freeze over in the winter. Then I have an in-date gas hose connected onto this part. Now this is a black gas hose, so you can see right there it says production date 2025. These run for 5 years. Now on this particular caravan, this has what is called a duo control regulator. So you hand tighten that onto the regulator and then nip it up using a spanner, because you don't want it ridiculously tight because it puts pressure, I'll show you on this one for an example, on the washer inside. So you don't want it ridiculously tight, as otherwise that can cause it to splinter and break. But essentially hand tighten that, and then you have to have this to point in the direction of the gas bottle that you want, because you can have your 2 gas bottles there and then it points out that way. Once both sides are firmly connected, twist the gas bottle in the positive or open direction, and that will feed gas through into your caravan. Moving along, so right here is your flue. Your flue is used to get clean air in and out of your boiler. Don't have to do anything with this except make sure it's nice, clean and tidy so it doesn't restrict flow. Then I have an Akrol full of clean drinking water just here, and this is your water pump. So just remove that for a second. At the top here you have this trigger, so essentially all you have to do to get it in is just push it in. To remove it, press in the trigger and pull out. You have this plastic cap to go over the top of the Akrol to make sure no nastiness gets in. Then at the bottom you have your strainer. It's crucial that the strainer sits at the bottom of the barrel, as otherwise it will just gasp through air, leading to coughs and splutters in the system. Now as you can see, they do have a bit of a tendency to curl up. So my recommendation is to get some PVC tubing or some old hose pipe or something like that to make it straight, rather than having to straighten it out every single time. But to insert it, press in, can't be removed without pressing in that trigger. And just next to it you have your battery locker. The battery itself can be fitted with the 2 terminals on the top using either a 12 or 13mm spanner. Then just next to it you have your plug-in for your mains. Mains plugs in nice and easy like that. You have a little bit of a cutout there for being able to lock up the locker. Motor mover will go over on collection. Then we have your waste function. So first up you have these 2 inserts, which is where your wastewater will come out of. You'll need some 28.5mm waste pipe to then feed into a waste master that you can empty out at the appropriate point on site. Then first up, let's make sure I've got the right one here. Should have probably opened these up beforehand, Henry. I know. Right, you have your cassette toilet. To remove the cassette toilet, you press up on this orange handle and pull out just like so. You can also extend this handle up and out, and it will essentially work like a carry-on suitcase. Just shut that up for a second. second. Then, when you get to your emptying point on site, what you have to do is twist that orange head to the side. That's a bit stiff, Christ. Open up this cap just here. You want to tilt, and at the same time as tilting, continually pressing this button here to vent. Then, what I'd recommend, it's only a recommendation, open up this catch, feed in some fresh water, give it a little bit of a shake, and again, tilt and vent. Then on this cap here, you have measurements of both imperial and metric, and that is for your blue chemical. Blue chemical goes onto that cap, back onto this component just here. Nice and tight, twist it in, open up your locker again, very stuffed today. Push it in. So essentially, that orange handle sits behind those white teeth, so then it can't be removed unless you open up using that handle just there. Then this top compartment here, that is your flush tank. So opens up using your key. This can hold about 12 litres of water. However, I wouldn't recommend putting in any more than 10, as you don't want to overfill it. Using something like a watering can just to feed it in. You can also add some pink chemical, which works as a bleach without being corrosive and makes your bog smell a bit nicer. Now, you don't want to travel with either of these two full, so just up here, got a little bung to drain off any remaining water from the flush tank system. We will have drained off the caravan fully before you leave with it. Then underneath your right hand side seat, you have all of this here, so I wouldn't recommend storing anything because you don't want anything to get damaged. Under that compartment there, you have your boiler. If you ever need to do a reset, you can push away the panel and open it up. Then you have these blue leads leading to that yellow switch valve just there. That yellow switch valve is your drain valve, and essentially when it's in the horizontal position as it is now, that is allowing the flow of water to come through. When it's flicked up to the vertical position, that will drain off any water inside the system. The caravan is going to leave with that in the vertical position, and anytime you come off site, drain off the caravan, as you don't want water sloshing around the system whilst you're driving, as it can cause damage. November to March as well, have that up permanently unless you're actively using the caravan, as any water inside the system may freeze over and burst the pipes. You also have some, I'll zoom out a second, look, also have some flow jets on the side for the flow around the caravan. Of the water, you have your fuses just here, and trips, all your trips in the upright position, all your fuses in the correct position. I would also recommend carrying some extra fuses inside the caravan. You can see spare heating and hot water and charger are all illuminated, meaning that all of those are working. And then you have the reverse polarity button just there. Then you have the complete and utter system shutdown button just there. Press that in, nothing inside the caravan is able to operate and shuts everything off. This silver box just here, I'll put this down for a second. That is your battery charger just there. If you need some more information on your trips and fuses, you have some on this slat just here if you pull it down, or have a look inside your book packs. And then these two black boxes that say eMove are representative of the brain boxes for your motor movers. Again, if you ever need to do a reset, it's through those. Then just here we have your main control panel. So to turn this on, press in that button, and as you can see, all your lights turn on. Now the radio might turn on in just a second, so I might have to pause this. But yep, not in the mood for Taylor Swift. So right now you can see power is on, mains is coming into the caravan. If you were plugged with your car, it would show the car coming in. I can view the levels of either the leisure battery or the vehicle battery by pressing in the respective buttons or the view level buttons. Now, as we're currently plugged into mains and there's not currently a leisure battery on board, that is representative of the amount of power coming in through the mains lead, which is currently around 14 volts. When you just have your battery on and no mains, that will tell you the correct amount coming from the leisure battery. And then, main thing to note, you press in here and that's your water pump button. So as you can hear, it draws through the water into the boiler, And then essentially you want to open up your taps on both hot and cold and check to see that it's got a nice steady continuous stream. You do it on both that tap and your tap and shower in there if you're looking to use it. However, we're going to wait 2 to 3 minutes to allow it to circulate through. As we do that, we're going to show you your outer wet central heating. So this is for your heating and hot water. So essentially, this is your home screen, tells you the current internal temperature, which is 21.5 degrees, and mains is coming into the caravan. Press menu and it comes to this screen here. So first up, you have the internal temperature that you desire. It goes up or down using 0.5. Just gonna press in, there you go. There you go, just have to press in fairly firmly. Up and down, 0.5. Starts at a maximum of 30 and a minimum of 5 degrees. You can also just tap it and it will just go. Then you have the shower icon just here. So that is for your hot water temperature. Now, you can either have it off completely as it is now, midway, which will get the water temperature to around about 40 or 50 degrees, or full. Now what full does, it prioritizes the water heat over the heating of the actual caravan for about 30 minutes. Those 30 minutes, it will get the water temperature up to around about anywhere between 50 to 70. And essentially you can just have it on like that. After that half an hour has finished, it will then go back to mid. So it's ideal in the morning if you're wanting to use a shower or something like that. Next up, you have your source, so you can either run 1, 2 or 3 kilowatts of mains. Now do be aware that some sites do not have 3 kilowatt capacity, especially if they are extremely busy, but always just check with them beforehand. Or I can run strictly gas if I was off grid, or a mixture of gas and 1, 2 and 3. Then we come over to settings. So pressing that cog, this is your settings here. Now I'm not going to go through these as we have set it to what we believe is the easiest interface to use. However, if you'd like to have a look inside your book packs to see what those represent, or any videos online, please do so. Then to turn off the panel, you press off that button just there. When you haven't touched the panel in a fair bit of time, it will naturally just go blank, and then you can just tap it and it will wake itself up. But now when you see, it's completely off. But going back to this, so press the water pump button, come over, open up the tap on both hot and cold, and what you're looking for is that nice steady continuous stream. As you can hear, when I take water out of the tank, it will then essentially be replaced by any water inside the system. So I've just had it on hot, obviously because the water's not hot yet, leads into an odd cough and splutter. However, when it's on cold as it is now, you're getting that nice steady continuous stream. So you'll let this run for around about 30 seconds, and then if you wanted to use the other sink and the other shower, just do the exact same on them as well. Just make sure that you're drawing the water through the system. If you haven't used the caravan in a long time, I would recommend letting it circulate through a bit first. But yeah, as you can see, this takes a little bit of time. Now this water as well is escaping out of those 2 points that I showed you outside, and leading to it going like this. That's around 30 seconds. But that's what you're looking for, that nice steady continuous stream. So in simple summary, power on, water pump. When you press the power on, everything comes on to the last memory essentially, and then you just use your respective light switches for your respective light. Then just here we have your hob, grill and oven. So everything on here is operating on gas minus the electric plate. Electric plate, just spin to whatever gas mark and it will get to the appropriate temperature. Everything else, press in, twist to the side, and at the same time press your igniter, standard to any sort of gas cooker that you may have at home. Now again, similar to the water, essentially if you haven't used it in a little bit of time, it may be a case that it will come on with the ring and then go away. That's just the gas making its way through the system. So what I do is check all of these rings, make sure that they're working, then the grill, then the oven. before I try to set anything else to gas, as you want to make sure that the gas is circulating around the system. However, this is what it looks like when they're all lit. As you can see, nice blue, clean, continuous flames. Turn it off, back to the central, back to the central, back to the central. Now for the grill, as you can see here, oh, my flashlight has come on. Both sides nice and lit. And finally, we have your oven, so let's see. A little bit tight there. If I can do this with one hand. There you go, the oven's all nice and lit as well. Turn it off, back to the central position just there. Now, the only other thing to note really is you don't want to travel with your gas on, and you also want to travel with this glass sheet down, but don't put it down until all of these burners are cold to the touch. Then here we have your fridge operation. So to turn this on, press and hold on this button just here. It will then flash up and go to its most recent memory, which in this case was mains on full capacity. You have the source of either mains, gas, or 13-pin electric. That is not your leisure battery, that is for when you're plugged into your car, or auto. If I press auto just here, you can see auto chooses mains. Now let's just change over to just strictly mains. Auto chooses what it thinks is the best source to use. Press in on gas. Now for gas, what it will do, it will gradually begin to tick in. Then once it's finished ticking, that means it is then lit. I wouldn't really use gas unless you're off grid, to be honest, because that's just wasting your gas. Now I'm just going to quickly press this. This is what it looks like when there's a hazard. Flashes up and beeps at you. So flick it over to main so it doesn't trip out. But it'll begin to flash up and beep. That's what that's for. You can't press this in. Then 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5. That is for the amount of power coming into the fridge. 5 being the most powerful, so it's going to chill it the quickest. In all fairness, you won't really want to put on anything except 5 just because it chills it the quickest. And it's not taking a drastic amount of power. It's not going to reduce anything else. As you saw inside as well when it's on, blue light. And then to turn this off, press and hold, no more LEDs. Now, as well with this, it's not going to continually keep on flashing up at you whilst you sleep, just so it doesn't annoy you. Then lastly, we have your toilet operation, which you might say is bog simple. Press the flush button, and you can hear that motor. That motor is what will push around any water that is inside the flush tank system, pushing it away into there. Now to remove your waste, press away on the handle, opens up the catch just like so. However, you have to have it shut back towards you, as otherwise you can't remove the cassette toilet. When the cassette toilet is full, there'll be a red light come on underneath there, telling you go and empty it out.